Hi, and welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 33, the 33rd-ist episode of all. I am your host for some reason, GX.
You're our host because you took over illegally.
Hey, I told him before the show he could host if he wanted to.
The person that we have here that is outbursting exuberantly is Alex Peel.
Yes.
Writer for various sites. We also have another writer for various sites, Jason Berry.
Sniper Island is in your heart.
Oh my god.
It is. So, in this effort to ship out Binks's Brew, we have some Sonic stuff to talk about. News and not new games, but games that are new that aren't coming out. But first, Alex, you've been playing that Metal Gear, haven't you?
Nope.
Okay, good. Jason, you've been playing that there Skylanders.
Yes, I've actually been playing both the Wii and Wii U versions of Skylanders Supercharged. One is the Wii and Wii 3DS versions are Skylanders Supercharged Racing, which is all kart racing all the time. There's no real adventure mode to it. And the other one was the Wii U version, which is more like your regular Skylanders. It's got the big adventures you're going through. Plus, it's got a separate section for online kart racing. And, well, not just kart racing. You can do flying, you can do submarine racing and all that. But the reason, of course, I chose the Wii and Wii U versions is this year they're doing Bowser and Donkey Kong, which are only available in the Nintendo versions of the games.
And of course, only one in each of them.
Yeah, you can't buy them separately. You have to, if you want Bowser, you have to buy the 3DS or Wii version. If you want Donkey Kong, it's only Wii U.
So kind of wrap this up for it. For you, what is the overall appeal of these games? Because I'm sure we have a lot of people who are listening that are like, wait, Skylanders, that's the kids thing. Like, don't you have to buy 50 billion toys for that? Isn't it just some great big marketing ploy? Like, what do you like about this? What do you get out of it?
It kind of is a marketing ploy. It's an evil and genius marketing ploy. Basically, the one thing I like about it is with like Skylanders and Disney Infinity characters, they have the chip on them, so when you put them on the base, they come to life in the game. And basically, as you're playing, you're collecting treasure and money and leveling up the characters themselves. So you get like a feeling of ownership for your character that you're playing as, Whereas other games, the character will just, come in and out, so to speak.
Yeah, that kind of wraps around what I was going to talk about, because I actually got into, upon the recommendation of you and about 5 other podcasts that I listened to, I broke down and got myself Disney Infinity 3.0, and this is me coming to it from zero Disney Infinity experience to what people are saying is, hey, you know what, this is probably the best one, especially coming off of last year's, which was not so great. But so my experience with basically the whole Toys to Life thing, I have every amiibo that is not in stupid card form. I have a handful, I would say a handful of Infinity characters, ones that I actually like, and a whole shelf full of Skylanders. And
one thing I'll say, about Skylanders, of course, different from Infinity or Lego. When Infinity or Lego, you're getting licensed characters that have been around for a long time. You're getting characters that you know and love.
You're basically getting characters for the characters.
For the characters, really. Where Skylanders, the reason I like that is that you're getting these brand new, very creatively and originally designed characters, and you're not just buying them because they're your favorite character from like 10 years ago. You're looking at the design and going, you know what? I really like this character. I think I want to play as him. I really like the way this character looks and feels.
And honestly, I've played Infinity. I've played some of Infinity. I've played some of Skylanders. I actually kind of do, as a beat 'em up, I actually really do kind of like Skylanders. The thing that Skylanders does that the others don't is that all the Skylanders characters feel really different. So it does kind of have that level of excitement of you put the character down, you're able to play as them, they have their own little progression tree of moves that you can unlock or choose not to unlock or whatever tree branch you want to go on. Whereas Infinity, my experience with some of the characters is they have a close range attack and they have a ranged attack, and there's not a huge bit of differentiation between them.
That's very true. I mean, if you play as like Donkey Kong and Superchargers, he's got a huge variety of moves, and many of them that unlock as you collect treasure and give them to the fairy, who unlocks more of your move points. And it could be from brawling to playing the conga and the stunning your enemies and whatever. But then I also got a character like Stormblade, who is this sparrow, the kind of a sci-fi look to her with a whole bunch of blades around her fingers. Now she is all ranged, and you can shoot out the blades that come out of her arms as fast as you can mash the button on your controller.
And I mean, there's, like, my experience with characters is there's one that I only got because he is voiced by Bobcat Goldthwait, and then it turns out, you know what, he's actually pretty cool because he has kind of this Jekyll and Hyde mechanic to him. And I have a character who is an Australian talking crocodile guy who plays very much like Boomerang Mario in 3D Land or 3D World. Right. So it's just kind of, there's an excitement to Skylanders in getting the new character and just seeing how they play, because it feels like they've put a lot more effort into how does this character progress as they move, how do they evolve, how is this character different from this character or different from this character, and you can use any of them going forward. So it's just, thus far I think it's the one that I've had the most instant fun with, although I haven't put a whole lot of time into Disney yet.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, with Skylanders, you can just easily jump in and jump out with any character, and you're going through this main, adventure, where with Infinity, certain playsets you have to use only certain characters for that story. They don't allow you to mix
and that's been the story since the very beginning.
Yeah, they're being a little more generous with this because they have character tokens in the Star Wars sets, so you can play all of the Star Wars characters in any of the time sets. But they still don't allow you to play like as Anger in Twilight of the Republic or anything like that. I think partially the reason for that is each...
it's because Lewis Black would certainly not allow that.
Well, each character is also... each game is also developed...
No response to that.
Each character has a separate developer. Each game... Each playset tends to have a separate developer. Except,
I will say this about Disney,
the
though.
Star Wars ones are all done by Ninja Theory.
I will say this about Disney, though. I am incredibly pleased that they were able to get Lewis Black to actually do the voice for Rage in the game. I am very sorely disappointed that we now have 2 video game versions of Wreck-It Ralph, and not a single good John C. Reilly impressionist between them.
Right, and if you get like Rise of the Empire, Luke Skywalker just sounds way off.
Oh, and all the Star Wars ones I've heard don't sound especially great right now.
Han Solo sounds pretty good. And
no.
Like Anthony the one who does C-3PO sounds like Anthony Daniels on helium. For some reason, it's really high.
You know who sounds good in that Star Wars one right now? R2-D2. I'm glad they were able to get the voice actor for that. Or if they got a different one, it sounds dead on.
The one thing I'll say about the Lego Dimensions, outside of it being super expensive, is that they spent a ton of money on this thing. They have the original voice actor for pretty much all the characters. They got the what's his name who voices Doctor Who doing Doctor Who. They got Michael J. Fox doing Marty McFly. Sorry, Christopher Lloyd doing Doc Brown.
Hold on. They got Michael J. Fox for the Lego one.
Yes, they got Michael J. Fox doing Marty.
They didn't even get Michael J. Fox for the Back to the Future Telltale series.
No, they got a really good Michael J. Fox sound-alike. For this, they got the actual Michael J. Fox, so they must have
just
spent
be
a ton of
WB
money.
Or something. I don't know.
They must have spent a ton of money. I don't know if the cyborg on this is from the Teen Titans cyborg. I have his character. And his voice sounds very young. And I've heard a little of Teen Titans Go Cyborg, and I don't think it's the same one.
It's possible. So is it any good? Is it any different? Like, how does it compare to every single other Lego game that I've played between GameCube and... It
basically is every other single Lego game you played.
Oh boy!
The only major difference is one, you're buying all the characters you get to use instead of unlocking them in the game. And buying items that can use, which the items are actually kind of handy because there's certain abilities certain characters have that you might not have. Like, I don't have the Wicked Witch yet, but I'm going to get her soon because they constantly remind you that she has abilities to get gold bricks that otherwise you can't get because she can smash silver and fly. But if you have the Simpsons TV, the Simpsons TV blows up when you take it off the base, and that'll blow up silver.
So, the characters themselves, since we talked a little bit about the other stuff in there, one of the criticisms that I've kind of always had about Lego games is that most of the characters kind of do feel all the same. If you're getting a new character in the Lego games, is it still going to feel like almost every other character? Like,
as far
here's
as
your range,
combat goes, yeah, they pretty much punch the same. Each one has on the circle has a different ability. Like Wonder Woman can fly, or she can use her lasso, and like Shell from Portal can shoot out portals if there happens to be some blank areas around the map. And Homer has the ability to break. But some of them have the same ability because, that in order to get gold bricks, you have to have characters with certain abilities. And thankfully, when that comes up, you can bring up a list of which characters have which abilities. So if you don't want to buy every single character that comes out, you can do that. Like both Marty McFly and Homer Simpson can break glass. Homer Simpson does it with his belch, and Marty McFly does it by playing the guitar.
That's an unusual skill for only a few people to have.
Right.
I am pretty sure other characters have the capacity to break glass. I am almost certain I've seen Wildstyle do it.
Yeah,
in the Lego movie.
But the one thing that's kind of disappointing is the characters, unlike Skylanders and Infinity, they don't save anything to the characters themselves. All the studs and collectible treasures just stay on the save spot. They don't level up at all.
So it literally is just identifying the character on the portal. It's not doing anything with the character.
Yeah, the only thing interesting is the item ones. They have to write. They can be upgraded, all your items and vehicles, and they write to the items themselves. But they start off as a blank disc with. If I could show you the characters, the figures
couldn't show me the characters.
Yeah, the figures have paint. The figures have paint on their bases that show you, which character it is. While all the items just come with blank bases. So what happens is, once you build the item, this is another thing that's really annoying. It doesn't come with instructions.
I think we're getting pretty granulated here.
It comes with on-screen instructions for the items, so you don't get instructions out the back.
It sounds at least fun that they're actually including some of the Lego building in it, and in a situation where they never have in any of the other Traveler's Tales games ever. But
yeah, we'll say they do save to the items.
I mean, we don't need the whole layout. We're just trying to get an overview. Hey, Jason, what do you think of that there Lego game?
It's a great game if it wasn't for the fact that it's so darn expensive to get into.
Yes.
And also, I don't think they're going to make a lot of their money back on this. My store has like 20 Wonder Womans just hanging off the shelves. And
we'll see whenever
I think
Christmas
they're pricing
comes.
themselves out a little bit.
Lego pricing themselves out? That's unheard of.
The one thing I want to say about the base is like they're completely blank. Like if you get 2 bases in a pack for an item, once they're built and you have to save them to the center base, then it recognizes it as that item. Otherwise, it's completely blank. And the reason I think that's interesting is possibly what I think they should do next year is just allow you to create your own character, like say online, and they'll give you the little minifig parts in the mail and a blank base, and you could just make it there. Okay, I see you. Okay, that's it for me. I'm wrapping this up.
Alex, before I continue to ignore you, is there anything that you've played that you want to discuss?
Sure, why not? So,
Hello?
one of the best reasons has of course been Metal Gear Solid 5, which I've yet to play, but because of all this Metal Gear stuff that's been getting thrown around, I have been getting the urge to play pretty much every single other Metal Gear game. I recently beat Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is probably one of the best action games I've ever played, right up there with Bayonetta.
I'm going to do a little PSA here. In many Five Below stores, you can actually find a PS3 copy of Revengeance right now.
That's very depressing, but...
It's very depressing, but at the same time, hey, you can get it for $5 right now.
Platinum Games, the makers of the best games that are completely unsuccessful for some reason.
And also Mad World.
Catch a break. They make a Metal Gear game, and it's in bargain bins a year after it comes out. How does that even happen, aside from the fact that Konami has apparently been a very incompetent publisher? I mean, it's Metal Gear. It's hard to screw up Metal Gear, in terms of marketing, anyway.
So you're saying Metal Gear is the pizza of video games?
Metal Gear games typically sell fairly well.
I will say Platinum Games is the pizza of video games.
I really don't know what you mean by pizza of video games.
I mean, it's hard to screw one up. Even bad pizza is still good pizza.
Yeah, in terms of sales, it's hard to screw up Metal Gear. And yet somehow they managed it with Revengeance. Which is real unfortunate, because the boss battles in this game are insane. You've never experienced the swordplay in this game.
What about in Skyward Sword?
No, it's nothing like Skyward Sword. Well, okay, actually, maybe something like Skyward Sword, aside from the fact that...
Well, here's a good idea. When blocking an attack, you actually have to attack back to make a parry. And that's actually pretty technical, but pretty awesome at the same time.
But yeah, you can slice these. It's not just slicing things up into little pieces, which that in itself is really cool. But it's like in the middle of these boss fights, you will have to line up this very specific sword swing with the analog controls, and then spring. It's just so satisfying when you actually manage to pull it off, especially when it appears in the middle of this epic boss battle. It's just really well integrated. The final boss battle is especially impressive, but I shouldn't go into that because you just need to experience that crap for yourself. All I will say is that your ass will be kicked by
Alex. He will come to your house and he will kick it.
By a Republican senator guy.
Simulation.
Up. Now, after I beat that, I also beat Ground Zeroes, which had a horrendously depressing ending, but I guess it's supposed to lead into Metal Gear Solid 5.
I don't know. I heard that it was very deep and interesting and well conceived.
It was depressing, but I don't know. I'll get to the actual Metal Gear Solid 5 eventually. But at the moment, I'm just content playing Metal Gear Solid 3 on the one system you may not expect someone to play Metal Gear Solid 3 on.
The Vectrex.
No, it actually exists on the gosh darn system, GX.
Well, I mean, it would be better on the Vectrex.
Yes, of course it would be better on the Vectrex, but unfortunately, not even Hideo Kojima has the foresight to make a Metal Gear Solid game.
I bet he pushed for it. I bet he pushed for it at some point. He seems like the guy that would do that.
He is very eccentric. Anyway, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 3, the best of the Metal Gears, and one of my top 5 games of all time, on the 3DS, the new 3DS.
Not the old 3DS, the new one where it doesn't make that much of a difference.
The new one with the built-in second stick and additional triggers, which makes a huge difference.
It was better whenever it was the giant Frankenstick that just jutted off the side.
I hated that thing.
But it's surprising how much of a difference the system makes to the game. And I'm even more surprised by how well the camera controls handle on this thing, because unfortunately there are not a lot of games on the new 3DS that utilize the second stick for aiming and stuff, you know, like in a third-person shooter. Mm-hmm. And the games that do utilize it, I find, don't utilize it very well. But for some reason, on Metal Gear Solid 3, even though it was done years before the system even came out, it works really well. It's almost it's like nothing's ever going to be as good as the actual PS2 analog sticks, but it's pretty damn close as far as I'm concerned. And the whole game is just so much fun on this system now. And it's been nice going back to this game and playing it with the new subsistence controls, because the original Metal Gear Solid had his like older, more archaic camera, and a new one was introduced in Subsistence, which was use of all additional ports, which I haven't gotten to play until now. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So go back in time and go to your local Five Below store, buy a $5 Metal Gear game, and then go back in time and buy a 3DS game so that you don't have to play it with terrible controls.
Go back in time to do either of those things because both games are available on the digital shops.
But you should go back in time because that would be awesome.
And I think Metal Gear Solid 3, it's gone on sale a few times, but I think it's currently $20, which, if you've never played this game before, go and check it out. I mean, it's the same price as it is on the Vita, and like you get, and like the 3D graphics do look nice on it. So just check it out. I think if you haven't played it before, because it's a really good game.
Well, since I was talking about time travel, let's talk about delays.
This was your attempt to.
No, this was a successful segue.
No, it wasn't. It was.
It's successful if I ignore everything that you say. So, first things first. Jason, why don't you tell us what's going on with Sonic Boom Fire and Ice? That that sequel to that well-beloved DS game.
Well, GX, it looks like Sonic and Fire and Ice, that was originally coming out in October/November of this year, has been delayed into 2016, possibly early 2016 at the worst, because Sega wants to make improvements on the game and make sure it's the best Sonic Boom 3DS game, I guess, they can make.
Now, this is their words, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the quote right here. That's pretty much what they said.
Okay. Do we trust any of those words?
I don't see a reason to not trust them. I mean,
I see lots of reasons to not trust them, mostly with previous words that Sega has said.
Okay, why would they
You're turning
delay?
into Hogfather.
Why would they miss the big holiday rush?
Honestly, like, it just amazes me because I can't think of any other example of them in the last 5 to 10 Sonic games where they've actually delayed it for
I
the sake of
Sonic
quality.
have an example, maybe, though you'll probably yell at me and argue with me about it. I also don't know if it fixed within the last 10 games, but Sonic the Hedgehog on PS3 was delayed, technically.
I don't think that was for quality reasons. I think that was for certification. Let's frickin' get this game running reasons.
Yeah, that's technically quality reasons when you think.
It's quality reasons in the fact that, hey, this game won't pass certification in this way that we have it now. It's not quality for consumers. It's quality for, we can't do this otherwise. And I'm just kind of afraid that this might be the same reason for Fire and Ice. I kind of look at Fire and Ice, and they had to be on a real tight schedule for that.
I don't know, because like I interviewed Matt, what's his name, Matt?
It's unusual for
The level designer from Cinzaro Games last year at E3 when they were doing Shattered Crystals, and he basically told me that the game was pretty much almost 100% done. They were just doing tweaks and everything, and that was May, and it didn't come out till November. And there's, I guess, evidence that they haven't been working on it for like 2 months already, so it's possible that it was ready to go to begin with. But what's interesting is Cinzaro Games put out a memo that they said they're glad that Sega decided to delay it so they could add features that they wanted to add to the game. So
have they mentioned anything specific?
Nothing yet.
Of course they will.
But it's also possible that this was a strategical delay because that game, no Sonic fan really gives two shits about it right now. And it's
no one did last time it came out on 3DS either. I mean, people looked at the Wii U version or the Wii U version and were just depressed about that one. Nobody looked at the 3DS version.
But also, it's a little fish in a big holiday pond for October and November, and I think it would just get crushed in sales because there's all these other games coming out, and you wouldn't even notice it was there.
That's true for any Sonic handheld game, though. And on the 3DS, are there even really that many big 3DS titles coming? Aren't there just like a few from Nintendo, and that's pretty much it?
Yeah, but think about what ones they actually have coming from Nintendo. Like, they just released Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. Like, that is a behemoth for Nintendo, especially for Japan.
And they have Amiibo cards for it. I watched Lamar Wilson on YouTube.
They have
off some of those
they have an Amiibo tidal wave for that one.
They can release the little new 3DS over here.
Well, Amiibo card.
Which I promptly picked up because I need more room in my pockets.
They have emotional abuse in Amiibo form for that game.
But to go back to what you said about them not having enough time to make the game, but don't forget.
I'm not saying they didn't have enough time.
I think they had plenty of time. I think it's strategical, in my opinion.
I'm not saying that they didn't. I'm just saying it's surprising because that would have been roughly a 1.5-year development cycle, which is
and Ratchet and Clank
not a lot.
Was also a yearly franchise for a little while. And that was a yearly franchise because they were able to just reuse assets from the older game.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same here. Plus, it's a 2D 3DS game. I don't think it could take too long for that kind of turnaround. But anyway, the other problem they have is that they were about to promote it with Carl's Jr., and once that deal happened, Carl's Jr.'s can't just cut it off and put some other kids' meal thing in there. So you'll be happy to know that starting next week, they'll have Sonic Boom Sonic Boom Fire and Ice kids' meal toys at your local Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, depending on which side of the country you're on.
But aside from this, just. Unpacking what you just said is hilarious on so many levels. I mean, first you have the level that it's the big toy promotion deal with Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Which is the poor man's more depressing McDonald's.
Good. At least it was back when I was a kid.
I get they have like a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit that's fairly cheap for a breakfast, so I always get at least 2 times a week, and I love their Western bacon cheeseburgers. But yeah, usually their kids' meal promotions are, hey, here's a movie coming out on home video, let us promote that, instead of when it's out in the theaters.
On par with Sonic's Drive-In's toy options.
Or worse, Wendy's. Wendy's has the cheapest toys out of anybody.
They do, but they occasionally get the Nintendo stuff. Typically,
Or that Del Taco Sonic Boom thing, which I got one of them, and it's just a bunch of cardboard you put together as dice.
I will say, I am a sucker for Sonic merch. Knuckles, tell me, like, there's good Sonic merch coming out, isn't there?
Yeah, there's the Blaze the Cat plushie from GE, from GE, which I'm
Blaze the Cat? I love Blaze the Cat.
Blaze the Cat's probably the only Sonic character new to the 2000s that I still like.
I mean, you realize that's because you like Knuckles, and she's basically the female Knuckles, right? I mean, you understand that's just how it is, right?
Yes, I know that. That's probably why I like her. I don't know, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna get the plushie because, like, even Knuckles, I really only have a Knuckles plushie because I wanted a King's Dominion when I was a teenager. So I don't know.
It's not the only GE Entertainment plushie coming out.
Yeah, GE's hitting it out of the park.
This news is actually kind of old that you have on here. I could tell you about 2 more coming out. If you like, one of them.
Like, they're making deep cuts with this stuff. Like,
and
they've got
their quality.
They've got
I have a few of them. I already got SBO Silver, Eggman, and Classic Eggman. He looks great. But Vector is coming out as a plush.
Ooh.
And he's one of my favorite characters. I love his, like, everyman kind of style to him. And a Super Shadow plush is also coming out.
Shadow plush?
Super Shadow, which I'm sure all the fanboys will be happy with. Everybody loves Shadow.
But do people love Super Shadow?
But is a Mighty plush coming out? Or Bean or Bar?
Not yet, but who knows?
Darn.
Probably. But they have some assembly. You have to get certain things at Joann Fabrics, and then it requires a little work, but you can totally get it.
God, the Eggman one's so fat you could use him as a pillow. I can only imagine what the Big the Cat one is like.
Now, I'm not very big on plushies, but are you, GX? Are you big on plushies? I know you're big on...
Good God! Are we getting me started on plushies?
It depends on the quality. Like,
I have an absurd amount of plush toys. I have just a ton of Sonic ones. I have a lot of the smaller Sonic X plushies. I freaking have a Werehog plush.
I have a Werehog plush.
Sega CD Amy Rose plush.
Oh my God! Sounds wonderful.
I
think
that same GE released a classic line as well, and I think I have that same Amy Rose as well.
Most likely.
I spent freaking $30 at the local Round 1 arcade on the UFO catcher just to get a chopper from One Piece.
I would have probably just gone online to get a chopper from One Piece.
Now, you know, while I'm not big on plushies, there are certain plushies that I really, really want, but unfortunately they are stupidly expensive. And those are the Nights into Dreams UFO plushies from the 90s.
Well, that's because they're from the 90s.
Yeah, that's a little different.
They are super duper rare, and barely any were made. Even back in the early 2000s, those things were as expensive as crap. And the Sonic the Fighters plushies, which includes Bean and Bark.
And Knack.
And Knack. Oh, how could I forget about Knack?
And Fang.
Fang.
No, we're calling him Knack because we're Americans.
So, obviously, not all of these plush are going to be easy to get, but something's actually going to be impossible to get from now on. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about the comics going forward?
Well, I haven't heard official news of this, but it seems on the forums that you can no longer see Sonic Super Special Magazine in the solicitations. It seems to be gone now. And one thing they showed is the cover from that was originally going to be on Sonic Super Special Magazine is now on the Sonic Digests.
Now, for the people who don't follow this super closely, what was the Sonic Super Special magazine as opposed to some of their other runs?
It was released about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's a quarterly magazine that came out every 3 months, and basically it had a few articles and like 2 or 3 reprints of comics that were either recent or from 5 or 10 years ago, but due to like certain legal reasons and that, lately the reprints have been very recent from like as soon as the last reboot that happened in 252. So your stories are like 2 to 3 years old tops, and so you're reading stuff that you've already read, and that's what's happening to the digest as well. The digest is kind of a like if you've seen Archie Comics digests and the
Unfortunately, at this point, there's just not a lot to digest.
Yeah. There's not a lot to digest, and that's the problem, is that you get these little digests, and they're basically stuff that you've already read just very recently. Now, they canceled Sonic Boom the comic, and they said they would be continuing that into the digests. So, hopefully that doesn't just mean the reprints of Sonic Boom, that means new material. And if they do that, that means they can put the format in any kind of format they like they do with Archie in the digest. They can have 1-page jokes or 6 or 11-page stories or full 30-page stories if they want. But also, if they don't have the articles and the Super Digest is gone, that could mean we'll see more original articles themselves. The Super Special Magazine. That could mean we see more original articles as well into the digest, because the one thing the digest needs is more original material, because the reprints are just way too recent. And if that happens, that's great. I mean, that also Sonic Digest is usually a little more available than the Sonic comic, because not only can you find it in comic book stores, but a lot of, at least around my area, a lot of grocery stores have it along with the Archie Digests.
They try to make it more of an impulse purchase item.
Now, regarding the super specials and stuff, GX, did you listen to my interview with the new editor?
I have not.
Okay. Well, there were a couple of interesting things said in that interview. Among them, I asked him if the success of the Worlds Collide one-shots might lead to future one-shots, future super specials like they would used to do back. And then he said, yeah, if they are successful, that is definitely something we'd be looking at.
So can I interpret that as, yes, we are definitely making Alex Kidd stories?
No, unless he says definitely, don't interpret it as definitely.
I am interpreting it as, hey, we are making a whole series about the Gormagala.
Shut up. But it's possible that one reason why the super specials might be getting discontinued is because maybe they're coming back as one shots again. Depending on, of course, on how well the actual Worlds Collide one shots did.
One thing I've noticed about the regular Sonic comic going forward after the Worlds Unite is they're now kind of splitting the story in half. They have the main story in the first part and then a short story in the back part, kind of like the old Sonic comics used to do. So they're probably doing that to make it more digest friendly as well.
Now, while we're on the subject of comics, there's actually something else I'd like to bring up from the interview. And this is more of a definite thing. Now, of course, we've been getting a lot of cancellations lately. But according to, unfortunately, I'm blanking on his name, which is very embarrassing. The editor, the new editor of the Sonic Archie comics, well, really the Archie action line. According to him, there will likely be additions to the Archie action line in the near future.
Yeah,
when
we
you
don't know what
say
those
additions,
New series.
okay, have they given any indication, like based on existing franchises they have of, or
Said that they're looking to expand the line.
okay?
So, like, this could mean. I imagine that.
I think it means more Archie versus Predator and
No.
Archie versus Barack Obama style crossovers.
Part of the Archie action line. When he says Archie action line,
I know, I'm just being an ass.
Sonic and Mega, as well as, of course, everything Worlds Unite, which could mean that Worlds Unite may be serving as maybe a testing ground for other potential properties.
Well, I don't think it's irrational to believe that, since really they're the only company making new Mega Man stories right now,
It's until November.
that they're probably going to be, their next big line is probably going to be Metal Gear.
Oh, GX, you're so hilarious.
Well, I don't know if you're talking Mega Man X. I don't even know if we're getting that because they're putting Mega Man on hiatus for reasons unknown.
I find that incredibly depressing because I really enjoyed their Mega Man series.
Mega Man, when I was kind of drifting away from the Sonic series right after the reboot, Mega Man was my comic book rock. That's what I kept reading, and that was entertaining. And now it's really depressing to see it go. But I mean, they say that they're looking to expand it, so hopefully we're going to be getting some new things in the interim. Like, I don't know, maybe a Skies of Arcadia comic.
If they do continue the Sonic Boom, stories in the digest, I hope they keep Sam Freiberger and Diana Skelly on, because that last issue was just hilarious. I absolutely loved Sonic Boom number 11.
I really need to read that.
It sure was good-ish.
I liked it a lot. There's a lot of little nods you got to watch, like they got Sonic drinking a cup of soda from Sonic Drive-In in it.
Oh, it's one of those comics where you have to look for weird little things. But also bearing the similar name Sonic Boom is a particular event that's been running for at least a few years now. The big, it's typically California event, isn't it, or New York?
No, it's been all over the place.
It's been all over?
The first two events were in California, then they moved one to like Mid-East, not in the Middle East, but what was it, Utah?
I think it was St. Louis.
St. Louis.
But I don't think
New York.
There wasn't one in 2015, was there?
No, there wasn't.
No, there hasn't been one this year because, well, they got to promote.
However, Jason...
It is a dead year for Sonic, really, this year.
However, Jason...
And what is next year for Sonic?
The anniversary!
That's right.
Always an anniversary. I am leading you to read the news story.
However, it's potentially returning in 2016 since Sonic Twitter announced that Sonic Boom was targeted for another return in 2016. I'm imagining pretty early because I think they got a lot to promote next year.
That's another reason why, and that's another good reason why Sonic Boom may have been delayed until next year, was because then it could be sort of folded to the larger anniversary celebration.
So they can equate two things that people really love, Sonic Boom and Sonic Boom.
Well, I mean, this Sonic Boom the game will probably come out before Sonic Boom the events, but we'll see.
But will they also release another remix
yes,
of the Sonic CD title soundtrack?
Yes.
Good. I'm holding you to that.
You better.
So, beyond that, we all know fans love that, but fans also love another particular Sonic character, and some fans absolutely hate him.
I like him.
Alex, why don't you tell me what's going on in the Sonic Boom cartoon at the end of this season?
Oh man, lots of things.
Now you're just lying. What is the one important thing that is actually happening? Because nothing else important ever happened in that series.
Disappointing. But Shadow the Hedgehog, whom I thought they said he wasn't going to appear in this series, is appearing in the series in the finale. Which I guess they're probably going to use as game appearance. Huh?
Yeah, they are using his game appearance. There's a few little GIFs and images of him out there with like Eggman taking a selfie with an old style camera with Shadow, being all happy that he's around. I guess the main plot is he's trying to defeat Sonic once and for all, so he's getting all of his local enemies together and including Shadow. But for some reason, not Metal Sonic, who appeared in a recent episode about 2 episodes back.
So Shadow is even going to be the main star.
Oh yeah, he's going to be the main villain, and then they also have like T.W. Barker and his 2 bears and the what do they call themselves? The Lightning Bolt Society.
The Bears.
I'll be honest, I have not really been following Sonic Boom for a while now.
The Lightning Bolt Society is the group of really inept villains in the village, and the one time they had free reign, all they did was make practical jokes on the people in town. They didn't really do any kind of damage.
Well, I wouldn't expect them to, given that it's Sonic Boom. And
so here's the big question then. Do you think that they are going to do what I have always hoped that they would do with Shadow and Sonic Boom, and they so ineptly avoided doing in the Wii U version? Do you think that they will finally, for the love of God, take the piss out of Shadow?
It doesn't look like that. I can give you a GIF that shows Shadow beating up Sonic Dragon Ball Z style in the episode.
I believe beating up Dragon Ball Z style is the end of every Sonic game ever.
But, so are they playing Shadow completely straight in this, going by what we're seeing?
It looks like it, yeah. I think they're playing him straight and everybody else funny around him.
Now, I could deal with that.
Didn't they also play Metal Sonic straight?
Yeah, they played Metal. You know what, though? That was not a good episode. That was a poorly written episode, to be honest.
If it had been a good episode, I probably would have watched the entire series so far. But it wasn't, so I was like, okay, I'm going back to Steven Universe now.
In fact, the Robot Wars episode last week with Knuckles and Tails was way better and much funnier than the one with Metal Sonic in it, which was a rip-off of The Fugitive.
I admit, I just like seeing Metal Sonic in an animated show. Because I think this is his first appearance on American television.
It's his first one outside of the OVA. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a really good OVA.
Okay.
That is among my favorite Sonic animations.
Now, to be fair, I was a teenager and had really bad taste back then.
To be fair, I was also a teenager and had really bad taste, and I didn't like it back then, but now I really love it. There is just ADV. I wish you never went out of business. I understand why you did. You probably should have, based on financial reality.
By the way, since they went out of business, who owns that anime? I mean, who can produce it and put it out?
Well, you know what? I have 2 copies of this movie. One of them not too old, so I'm going to look.
I imagine Sega actually owns the animation itself, because I don't have anything to back this up, but the animation itself really looks like it would have been the same company that did the Sonic CD intro and outro videos. The dubbing, that's a really tough one.
They are both from ADV.
That was totally from ADV. ADV did all the dubbing for that.
I don't even know why.
I would guess right now that it would be so difficult to track down all the individual people who would own at least some portion of rights to that they probably would never re-release it, and unless they made some sort of weird concentrated effort.
I don't know. Doesn't Sega own all the Deke Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons?
That might be a situation. To me, I kind of look at Archie whenever I look at that, and I kind of have to imagine Sega may own parts of that, such as maybe the characters and the worlds of those, but that might not necessarily mean they own things like the music or the stories or the way that certain things are written, because I kind of look at how they approached certain things in the comics, and I noticed that there are certain differences. Like, I don't think Sega could just go out and release and publish those DVDs. I think that they would still have to go through the company themselves.
I don't have Satam DVD with me, so I can check to see where the Geek logo on it.
Well, no, they usually don't have to go through themselves. They usually always had to do a video distributor, like the Satam and Adventures of Sonic were put out. The recent ones were put out by not the Deke company, but somebody else.
Cookie Jar, which owns
Cookie
Deke.
Jar, which owns all the Deke ones.
But what I'm saying is, I am guessing that Sega would not legally be allowed to just release those themselves, to self-publish. I am guessing that Deke does own some portion of that, and that they would need to work with Sega to actually put out the videos themselves. Like, I'm guessing Sega owns everything that's associated with them except for the videos themselves, is my personal guess.
You know, I'm just going to check the website and see if there's any evidence on there.
Barring that might be a good show notes follow-up. But, Jason, any good wrapping up words?
All right. Let me see. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in.
You can tell he has a prepared statement.
Yes, of course. And also thank you for our premiere episode on TSS, I guess you say, considering the other one was like 4 or 5 months old. You'll be able to catch the latest episodes of Sonic Talk right here on the Sonic Stadium and on the Sonic Stadium YouTube channel as well. And hopefully I'll get us back onto iTunes and MP3 downloads as soon as I learn how to do that stuff.
In other words, as soon as I figure it out and teach him.
Hopefully we'll be able to achieve monthly releases too. That'd be nice.
GX is our Yoda. Oh, teach us, Master.
I apparently know all the audio visuals because I know how to use Google Hangouts.
Shut up! Google Hangouts is hard.
I think that's the entire closing contribution from Alex.
Hey, that's not very nice.
No, it's not, but it's effective. And, hey, if you liked my sultry, dulcet tones, then you can hear more of me over at nevershutup.com. It is a podcasty network thing that has stuff on Sonic and One Piece and cartoons, and I don't know if you like them. They're cartoon popular internet horses. We got some of them, and we probably just turned off 40% of the people that would even think about visiting. So, Jason, Alex, thank you tonight. I hope you enjoyed this inaugural episode of the Sonic Stadium's newest podcast sensation, Sonic Talk. And
which still won't do as good as the Sonic Show's Opinion Zone, probably, but we're trying.
Hey, they never had me on before.
They're so lucky.
So, with that, take care, everyone, and have a very Sonic day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
A new day is dawning. Your moment is near. Your tank and rev up that engine, 'cause we're kicking this thing into gear. You got the courage, you're so brave. You got the might, and so strong. You got the spirit of a champion, and you're not gonna flee from the fight. That's why spell.